Hey everyone, this is Rachel. Thanks for clicking on my video. And y'all, I call this a special presentation because I don't normally wade into these YouTube beefs, but this is one that I would like to speak about. Now, if you are in the quote unquote beef sector and you've been on YouTube in the last few days, you know that there's been a bunch of things going on. Mainly this situation with Jay Wilson. He is a fellow YouTuber and he is a pastor. Now, a lot of people, from what I'm understanding, they don't particularly like him. They feel that he's a bit braggadocious and that he can be a bit judgmental sometimes. So, with that said, here recently, they found out where he worked at. And they've taken some of his videos off of YouTube and contacted his employer and provided them with those YouTube videos. And in some of those videos, uh, he's saying things and doing things that these people don't believe are appropriate for someone who claims to be a pastor. Um, in contacting Jay Wilson's employer, allegedly, he has been fired. From what I'm understanding, there has been upwards of 200 calls or more to that employer, and he works at a hospital where he is a chaplain or was a chaplain at the hospital. So I guess after so many calls, the hospital has allegedly fired him. Now, pretty much that's the basis of the story. But the reason why I wanted to talk about it is as I watched this play out, I was just reminded of back in the day when the Salem witch trials were going on and the villagers would chase the accused through the village with torches until they caught up with them and all of that. It just felt reminiscent to me of those Salem witch trials. Now, the players, some of the people who made it a point to do videos and commentary on Jay Wilson, I look at their past and the things that they've done here on YouTube. Now, granted, they are not pastors, they are not chaplains at a hospital. But my thing is this: God says, judge not, lest ye be judged. And when I think of what they did to him, as they were doing it, did at any point they say, this is a bridge too far? To be so determined to get someone fired, you know, was his crime, alleged crime, what he did here on YouTube or his videos, so egregious that you felt that he needed to lose his livelihood? Now, y'all, let me just say this. There are people that I do not like. I, just don't have anything for them. So you know what I do? I stay away from them. I don't care enough about what's going on with them that I will go through or to the extent that some of these content creators did and some of these subscribers did by calling someone's job. Another thing that I found quite interesting, I mentioned that the hospital had told one of the people that was calling in about Wilson's videos that they had received over 200 calls. And in one video, I heard that it was upwards, that it was more, almost 1,000. The reason why I bring that up is because let's be clear where they were calling. It was a hospital where the sick are treated. So these people were so up in their feelings that they jammed the phone lines of a hospital. They never stopped to think we are calling not only a place of business, but a hospital. Y'all, when I was younger, I worked in call centers and uh, phone line, business switchboard. I worked in positions like that. I'm gonna tell you what happened on those days that those people were calling into that hospital. The first few calls, the hospital representatives probably were like, the operators were probably like, we keep getting these calls about this Jay Wilson, Jay Wilcox. One rep probably thought that. When she got off the phone, she or he got off the phone after probably a couple calls, two, three, they probably turned to the operator that sat beside them and said something like, I keep getting these calls. And that operator that they were talking to probably said, you know what? I've gotten a few too. And then when the calls really started exploding, they probably went to their supervisor and said, we are getting these calls back to back to back, you know, about this. We can't even take calls from legitimate people calling in to conduct hospital business because we're getting all these calls about this man. Something probably was done in that call center regarding those calls, where the supervisor told them to say XYZ. That supervisor had to alert, some higher ups in the hospital about what was going on in that call center because what they were doing was blocking legitimate hospital business, you know, through these calls, which I think they never stopped to realize that. Okay. Also, too, in a couple of the videos that I watched, some of the people that were calling in to that hospital were recording those calls. And what occurred on some of those calls to me was quite interesting. There was information being given out by the staff of the hospital, the operators, you know, regarding Jay Wilson's personnel file there, for lack of better words. And I just don't think that is appropriate. I have worked in corporate America. I've worked in health insurance companies, um, all kinds of call centers, as I mentioned when I was younger. And you just don't readily give out information. We are instructed to verify the caller before we so readily give out information. A lot of times they ask us to ask for their name, their date of birth, maybe a phone number, an address, last four of social. We just don't give out information like that. And I think that was an invasion of Jay Wilson's privacy. You know, something else that a lot of these callers into that hospital probably don't realize. 90% of the businesses out here, corporate entities, their calls are recorded. Currently, the job that I have a phone system. Now, in my position, I am the only one that is in this position, meaning there are no other reps that do what I do. But I can record my calls. I can play back the calls as soon as I get off. I can print a transcript of the call. Also, most businesses, 90% of them, when you call in, we can see your number. We can see what state you're calling from. So I don't know if these people realize that all of this is going on at that business. So those 200 to 1,000 calls that were coming in that day, there is proof of who the caller was, where they were calling from. And y'all, this is not something out of the norm. This technology of caller identification has been around for 20 plus years. And I know this for a fact because I've worked in call centers. You know, you know how when you call a business and there's a recording before the call and it tells you something like, for this department press this, for this department press that, enter this information. Before we even pick up the phone, the reason why we're asking that recording is asking that is so we can already have information on the screen when we come on the line. So for those people who thought their calls were anonymous, they were not. That hospital has all of that information, and they can, at any point they want to, create a file with all of those phone numbers, with information as to where they came in from, and turn it over to authorities. Another part of this whole debacle that I found interesting is that there is another content creator on YouTube by the name of Jason. I think that's his name. And allegedly, he called the police because one of the callers that called the hospital was told that they had received so many calls that the hospital had turned this whole thing over to the local police department. So they instructed the callers at that point to call the local police department because the hospital had washed their hands of the situation. So this Jason allegedly did just that. He called the local police station. Now, I found that call also to be a bit interesting because, first of all, you didn't hear the opening of the call. You know how when you call a business and they say something like, thank you for calling, I'll just say Ohio Police Department. This is blah, blah, blah. How may I help you? You didn't hear that. The the person at the police station that took the call to me immediately went into helping this Jason. Now, I want to say something about the person that took the call. When Jason called to that police station, they also have a call center. The people that are answering the phone are not police officers. They are people who have been hired by that police department to receive calls that come into the police department. Okay? The only time that you would get a police officer is if you actually ask for one and that operator on the call had gotten additional information about which case that you were calling in on and found the officer or detective that was handling that case, and if that officer or detective was available at the time of your call and could take your call. So that's one thing. The person that Jason spoke to was in a call center. So I found it interesting, all this tapping and releasing of information there as well. I felt like that was a bogus call. And what I mean by that is, to me, it appeared that Jason may have had someone, a friend of his, play the role of that that police office. Because I do not believe that the way that call went down, it would have happened like that in real life. Pick up the phone and call your local police department and try to get information from them. Um, even to the point where the person told Jason that Jay Wilson's phone number is public knowledge, that it's open to the public. How did they know that immediately? How did they know whether that was a landline phone number that they were giving out, a cell phone number, a business number? How did they know that quickly? See, I've worked in call centers. I know that is not possible in that brief few seconds that that phone number was given out. How would you know if it's, open to the public? You know, it just seemed unbelievable. And also the information that alleged um, police office employee was giving out. Trust me when I say that employee should have been saying things like that, like this. Where are you calling from? Who are you? Thoroughly identifying Jason and his interest in this particular case before they released information. You know, also, you call into a place and you give the name. Jay Wilson's name is a pretty common name. You know, it's not like his name is Banswuga, Swakswuga. He has a pretty common name. So the point I'm trying to make is when you called in, just say that there were three Jay Wilsons or Jay Wilcoxes. How did you know? How did that police office employee know exactly which person that Jason was talking about without providing a date of birth, last four of social, case number, address? How did they just know? Also, once they allegedly pulled up Jay Wilson's file there at the police department, did they ask Jason for a case number? Did they again verify who he was and his interest in the case? So you mean to tell me that we as the public can call any local police department and obtain any information on any case that we want to know about, and the person on the other line at the police station is just going to happily release that information? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. So for me, that was a bogus call. I didn't find any type of validity in it. I didn't feel that that person at that police station did anything, if this is a real call, to verify who Jason was before they released information. And finally, y'all, I just want to say this. This whole thing of doxing and people reveling in the demise of another, it bothers me. This is the reason why I don't, come out on Facebook. I'm sorry, not Facebook, YouTube, and give a lot of information and, you know, just open up myself to this subscriber base, because you have people out here who aren't wrapped too tight. And just like I said at the beginning of the video, all these people that were calling that hospital, to me, behaved like they were on a witch hunt, and that Jay Wilson should have been totally devastated after they completed their goal. And what bothered me about that is that a lot of those same people who were doing all that calling, their hands are not clean here on YouTube. We have sat in this beef sector and watched all kinds of things go down. But because he, is a pastor and a chaplain, he's still a man. And what I mean by that is All of us are sinners. All of us are always asking for forgiveness for our actions. None of us are perfect in the eyes of the Lord. None of us. As I said before, he who is without sin, cast the first stone. Judge not, lest ye be judged. I also think that if they were successful in getting Jay Wilson fired, and from all of the videos that I'm watching, I believe, unfortunately, that he has been fired. How do you feel after you do something like that? Like I said, I can dislike a person intently, but I don't want them to lose their means to take care of themselves. I don't care enough to do that. I will just step back for them, leave them alone, stop watching their videos, make sure that I don't come in contact with them. But some people are so caught up in this BS that is going on YouTube that they cannot see the forest for the trees and know that karma can be a bitch. I would not be blocking my blessings by destroying another person's. Do they believe that what they did was good in the eyes of God? If everything that they were doing was because they felt that he shouldn't be preaching the word of God to people that are sick in the hospital, do they think that God approved of what they did? This witch hunt that they went on? Y'all, sometimes you need to check yourself first. The motive behind what you're doing. I sat and watched videos of people reveling in the demise of Jay Wilson's job. Reveling. And I can understand not caring for a person, even hating them. But what bothered me is that revelry, them reveling in it, the meanness and the hatred behind it. You know, there are going to be people that watch this video and they're going to say, yeah, but this, yeah, but that. You know, he is a pastor. I've watched Dave Wilson for a couple of years now, and I've seen him say things and do things that are, a little iffy, but they were not, his offenses were not so egregious that these 200 to 1,000 people should have picked up the phone and called that hospital and did what they did. Let's face it, Jay Wilson didn't kill anyone. He didn't rape anyone. He didn't molest anyone. He didn't hurt anyone physically. He's on YouTube talking, providing commentary, making us laugh, being shady. But he didn't do anything criminal. So for that reason, I don't believe that he should have been fired. Maybe the hospital could have suspended him with a warning or whatever, brought him in, talked to him, saying, we have a social media policy. You have violated it in our opinion. And for that, we're going to do XYZ. Heck, suspension for a while. But I don't know. Just taking someone's ability to pay their mortgage, to pay their utility bills, their car payment, I think that's a bridge too far because he didn't kill anyone. He hasn't hurt anyone physically. His words, his words had these people up in their spirits to the point that they have now allegedly gotten this man fired from his job. I don't know, y'all. That's just my opinion on it. If you are aware of this situation, I'd like to know what your opinion is. Like I said, the villagers, they were successful. From what I'm understanding, Jay Wilson has been fired. And for that, I am sorry. Now, I will also end with this. From watching Jay Wilson, I do understand that he has a couple degrees. And being in the corporate world myself and with the number of jobs that there are for people with education like Jay Wilson has, he's going to be all right. He's going to rebound back from this because he is educated. He does have degrees, you know? So ultimately, for Jay Wilson, what this may be is a wake up call. That when he goes to his next job, don't even speak on it, Jay Wilson. You see how these people are, you know? Don't even speak on whether you're gainfully employed or not, because they will start that witch hunt over again and do it again. These people, even when they found out that Jay Wilson had possibly gotten his position through a temp agency, they even said that they were going to call the temp agency on him. See, to show you that they're so clueless, you, when you are in the corporate world, the temp agency could be in another state from Jay Wilson. He could not have even met, went to an office, applied in person. He could have done everything online. Meaning, the point I'm trying to make is the whole of the United States is open for Jay Wilson. I am a person that lives in one state and my employer is in another state. I work from home. I've never met those people. They found me, you know, they found me. They are several states away from where I reside, but they found me. I've been employed by them for 2 years. The point I'm trying to make is when you are educated, the entire world is open for you. One monkey don't stop no show. Jay Wilson will be all right. But I'm pretty sure that he's learned a valuable lesson after all of this. And with that, y'all, this is the end of the video. Again, leave your comments down in the comment section. And as always, I thank you for taking the time to listen to me rambling on. You guys stay safe and have a wonderful day.